In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I added perception with influence, and doing that has added a great ordeal of influencers and people buy, selling, and trading my stuff, and how I went from a nobody to a somebody, and people actually value the brand that I had. If you guys don't know who I am, I go by the Prince Machiavelli, or you can just call me Chris, and I run the legendary streetwear brand Lord Knows Clothes. So the first thing that I see with a lot of people coming in is that they start up this brand, they make the designs and everything like that, and then they start forming this narcissistic way of thinking of, oh, I made this so the whole world should buy this. But you have to remember as well, at the same time, nobody in the world knows you, trust, or even like what you got going on yet, right? Because you haven't fully tested it out there to the marketplace yet. So now when I reflected back on my journey, I'm being that narcissistic creative person as well. And I'm like, why isn't nobody buying my stuff? And it's for one of those three reasons. Either nobody knows about it, nobody cares, or nobody likes it. So I started sitting there thinking, okay, well, how can I make somebody like this? How can I make somebody buy into this? And the first thing that I wanted to hit people with was with emotion. So if I was like, if I can be different than any other brand owner out there and actually build a cohesive brand and it all makes sense, and I got stories behind every single design that I'd ever made, even from the person that models to the lookbooks to the designs to everything that I put out, it's all cohesive. Now I'm forming a great impression on that person. See, a lot of people when they first started, they're just putting stuff out there and they're throwing spaghetti on the wall, hoping that it sticks. But what type of impression are you leaving on that person? It's like if you watch the Nike commercial right now, they're not even selling the commodity. They're not selling the cleats or whatever it may be. They're selling the emotion behind it, but that's leaving an impression on you. So you need to do the same thing with your brand. And that's exactly what I did with my brand. But at the same time, you always have to remember as well that the first impression is everything. A lot of people come into this and then they just keep throwing spaghetti at the wall, and they're not gathering no people. But at the same time, the harsh reality is if you didn't capture that person the first time, even if you put advertisement dollars behind it to go grab them, you're going to spend more money trying to grab old eyeballs that you didn't catch on to the first time. So always remember that the first impression is everything. But if we really hone down and like get singular focus on that customer, that ideal customer, that targeted customer, then you should have no problem at all as far as leaving a great impression onto that person. But at the same time, if you're having trouble and if you're getting those eyeballs in front of your target customer and they're not buying, obviously you're not leaving a great first impression on them. Now we got to really hone down on our brand identity, you know, the models, the designs, the storytelling, and everything like that on the back end. Because you always have to remember one thing, that a commodity like a garment, this is a garment, this is cotton. When it comes to graphics and t-shirts and brands, is nothing but perceived value. If Supreme was in Walmart right now, nobody would be looking at it as a valuable brand, but it's perceived as valuable because of the influence that they have behind it. So that's what I'm about to get into right now. If you guys don't know, one of my favorite books of all time is by Robert Cialdini. It's early in the morning in my office. This is one of my favorite books of all time. It's called Influence, and he has 7 laws of influence that I'm about to break down to you guys, and then you guys can take that and then throw it into your brand. Because once we add that great first impression with our perceived value with the commodity that we selling, plus these 7 laws of influence, is going to make everything run a whole lot easier for your brand. So law number 1 is reciprocation. People say yes to things that they owe. Law number 2 is liking, which is nothing but compliments to a rapport of your target audience. Law number 3 is social proof. People want to jump on the bandwagon that many others have jumped onto. Law number 4 is authority. People always want to follow the LeBron James, the Michael Jordan, or the Kobe Bryant of a niche. Always remember that. 90% of the market always runs to the top player. Law number 5 is commitment and consistency. People will always follow behind you if you put out there what you're going to say and follow through with it. Law number 6 is scarcity. And you always got to remember that people want more of what they can have less of. And last but not least, I have is unity. And you always have to remember that 90% of people out there will always say yes to the things that are very familiar, or if it's nothing but a representation of other people who are just like them. Now you're probably wondering, well, how the hell does all of this fit into my clothing brand? And I promise you, if you listen to what I'm about to break down and how these 7 laws of influence, we can throw it into our brand on top of that with the perceived value. Like I said at the beginning of the video, with great first impressions and building out that storytelling and honing down on the lookbooks and making everything cohesive, plus this influence engine, I promise you, I don't care where you at right now, you will literally go from $0 to $10,000 a month, or even at $5,000 a month. It's a non-negotiable guarantee. So with that being said, let's get back into it when it comes into the first law, which was reciprocation. We always got to remember that reciprocation means nothing but yeses to things that people owe, right? So when it comes into our clothing brand, now when we move this over to our clothing brand, our reciprocation can be sign up for our free emails and giveaways and sign up for the SMS and get a discount code or whatever it may be, right? We're giving. So even on the back end, even when we do a launch, right, more than likely people are going to say yes because you have a higher chance because you're giving so much on the front end for free. So on the back end, you can have that long lifetime value with that customer. Law number 2, which was liking, right? So something that resonates with that person, right? So for our liking, when it comes to a clothing brand, is making a very cohesive brand that is speaking directly at a person, right? So let's just say you are a fan of my brand. My brand is clear as day on what we stand for. We got the center, we got the saint. Even behind me, we got all types of pictures back here. We got Cupid angels, Elijah Muhammad, Tupac's back of his Exodus tattoo. Will you go to heaven when you die? Like, there's no clowns or nothing behind here, right? It's all straight to the point of what our brand represents. But that brings that liking bias with a person, right? So obviously, if they already signed up for our emails and SMS and all of these other things, and then when they go see the brand, they obviously like it. So we want to keep putting out more and more and go deeper with our brand identity to build up that liking bias even more with our customer. Law number 3, which is social proof, right? So now when people go to my Instagram account on IG or whatever it may be, and now they're looking at the proof, okay, he has 30, 40,000 followers or whatever. They looking at the comments. People got Lord knows forever. Lord knows is the best, all this other stuff. That's nothing but social proof, showing people that like I'm legit, right? And not just only that, they feel more comfortable to buy because the comments is almost like your testimonial when it comes to running a clothing brand, right? You're not going to be like Amazon and just have like 1,000 testimonials or reviews or anything like that on a t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to put everything on the comments, right? So everybody's in the comments like, this is the best brand ever, blah, 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 blah. And then that's building out that social proof to even build more of that liking, trust, bias with that customer to come buy your products from you. Which now leads me to law number 4, which was authority. And now we can use authority in many different ways, but the way I like to use it is by having a person of influence as like an artist or somebody big within my space, and then I have them come do the lookbook for me, right? Because not just only I'm adopting their audience, it's showing my audience as well that probably likes that person already because we all in the same audience pool, that they just like, oh damn, like he got Jay Cheddar from G59 to wear his clothes, or dang, he got Ramirez, or he got XXXTentacion's best friend Tankhead, oh he got Suicide Boys, right? So it's building out that authority because if the artist likes your brand, now that's building even more that liking and trust and bias for them to like your brand because that's who they looking up to, the person that's at the top of the hierarchy. So my best advice is for you guys is to go find them top authority figures within your space, even if you started from the bottom, even on the local, regional, or global level, if you're lucky, to go find somebody that can just co-sign your brand for you. But at the same time, you got to build a brand that's even likable for somebody to co-sign, especially even if they at a higher level than you. Law number 5 is commitment and consistency. And that's basically, you know, your word as the brand owner and as the leader and the mastermind behind this whole entire vision. So if you say that products are coming out June 16th at 11 a.m., it don't matter what's going on in the world. You got to stay committed and consistent with that. If you're saying that stuff is shipping out at this time, you got to be committed with that as well. And you really got to follow through on whatever you putting out there verbally with your word. But the more you even do that, that's still building more of that liking and trust and bias for somebody to fuck with your brand the long way. Law number 6 is scarcity. And you always got to remember that people want more of what they can have less of. So you got to remember, I'm not in Zoomies. I'm not in any type of wholesaler in America or in the world in general. When you look at my brand in the street, if you see my brand anywhere in the street, from a homeless person all the way up to some of the biggest artists in the world, that came out of this warehouse. Like, we have shipped it out of here, out of this warehouse. So if you see anybody buy, selling, and trading Lord knows, or somebody in the street wearing Lord knows, then you always got to remember, like, it came out of my warehouse, point blank period, or unless people buy, selling, and trading from like their own house or whatever it may be. But my whole point of that is that we control our whole entire infrastructure. If I want to put out 100 shirts, only 100 shirts is getting released. If I want to do 5,000 shirts, only 5,000 out there for the whole entire world and my audience. That's all that's getting released. And then once I'm done with it, I'm done with it. But then that builds up that demand and scarcity for people to really like value your brand. And that's what I guess you can say we kind of been good at over the years, because majority of my whole entire brand's career was built off of like hyper releases and collections and build outs and new designs and new concepts and stuff like that. So, and last but not least is law number 7, which is unity. And people want to be a part of something. When you look at politics, religion, sexes, those are the biggest audience pools in the world right now. You see people marching, you see people fighting over politics. My religion's better than your religion. Like, people want to be a part of a community. So when you adopt those things even into your brand, that's making things a whole lot easier for you. So when you take some of those frameworks and then add that into your clothing brand, now that's when you in a whole different ball game. So I talk to my audience completely different than how other brand owners do with their brand. Like, I'll do like the praying hand emojis and let me see the hands, let me see the hands. I'll be say your prayers, all sinners welcome. We got certain slogans, we got certain emojis that we use. We use the globe for like Lord knows worldwide and stuff like that. And you guys can actually go look at my clothing brand page and like look in the comments, like, to know that this is not cap. Like, people use the praying hands, all different races, the globes, Lord knows forever, Lord knows worldwide, whatever it may be. And that's how you start crafting out even that unity, because now I'm speaking a direct message only to this audience, not on a broad audience, but only to this Lord knows audience. So with that being said, if you guys can take those 7 frameworks of influence and then add that perceived value of the commodity of whatever that you're selling, I promise you it's going to make everything a whole lot easier. And try to get that in alignment. Obviously nobody's perfect, but if you go look at those 7 laws and be like, okay, like, where do I get in where I fit in? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And then just hone down like crazy. And over time, just keep building and building and building that influence. And I promise you, you're going to have one of the best fucking brands out there, even on the small level, you know, because people can see a vision. People want to be a part of something. People want to be a part of a community. If you're making everything cohesive, you creating a world that's never existed. And if you're talking directly at somebody the same way I'm talking to you right now in the camera, I promise you it's going to make things a whole lot easier for your brand. And next thing you know, you're going to start raising up the hierarchy and you're going to be like, damn, I was just at $100 a month or $1,000 a month with my brand. Now we at 6 figs or 50,000 or 10,000 or whatever it may be. So I ain't trying to talk your ear off, but if you guys like this video, please comment, like, subscribe. I got a free Discord group below. I also got a free workshop, so check me out. Lord knows is out. Peace.